Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Anime Watch Club, a bi-weekly group discussion and review where the hosts of the What Do You Say Anime podcast nominate and vote on shows either we haven't seen or shows that will hopefully lead to a great discussion. On today's episode, the Undines of the What Do You Say Anime podcast will be reviewing the 2005 anime Aria the Animation. Let's meet today's tour guides. Ara, Haz is back. Haz, how's it going?
My. It's been a grip, but back-to-back appearances. Come hit your boy for the gondola rides. It's gonna be a little rough, but we only stay rocky because that's how life is. You feel me? Trying to
Wow.
give you the full experience.
Yo, that was great. All right. Thanks for joining us again, Haz. Ara, we got Rifle making his bi-monthly appearance. Rifle, how's it going?
I'm doing pretty good. How y'all?
Oh, living life, my man. Ara, our first moderator of the night. We got Miles. Miles, how's it going?
Oh, I cannot complain. It's a good day to go on a Martian gondola ride.
Yes, it is. And Pat.
Wow. Ara. This is yeah. All right, we're gonna talk about Aria. I'm sorry. I wish I could sound more excited, but I just finished it and it was good. It was good. Let's talk about Aria. Made by what studio did this? This was done by HAL Filmmaker.
The legendary studio.
Legendary studio of HAL Filmmaker, which I'm pretty sure is doing something this season. Hold on. I need to confirm this. Never mind. No, they aren't.
They're actually a little stacked.
Are they? Yeah, with their Begot to HK and Aria.
Princess
Begot
Tutu.
to HK is a classic. Watch
Skip
him
beat. Come on. They got some bangers.
Deer? Bro, come on. Deers goes crazy.
You're right. I'm sorry, guys. How could I ever diss HAL Filmmaker Company? My fault.
They did. I mean, Aria has a couple of higher than 8 entries. They got Skip Beat. They got Princess Tutu. That's a lot better than I thought HAL Filmmaker was gonna be when I clicked the button.
Okay, maybe that's fair. But yeah, so that's the studio that did them. Let's do our first impressions. So as always, try and keep it spoiler free. And yeah, Miles, why don't you start us off like always?
Sure. So I nominated Aria. I first came across Aria after my wife and I watched Flying Witch, and she enjoyed it. So this, much like Flying Witch or Yuru Camp or the end of Evangelion, is a healing anime.
Yes.
So they're sort of known for their methodical pace and everything. So I knew what I was getting into when I nominated this. It's not exactly my favorite genre, but the concept I thought was pretty cool to me anyway. And Kayla tends to like the shows, though we didn't have enough time to watch it together these past 2 weeks, sadly. So I ended up shooting myself in the foot a little bit with this nom. First 3 episodes were about what I expected. It's slow, it's slice of lifey, it has pretty scenery, good music, it's very calming. One issue that I had with it is that it anxiety wells in me when nothing happens and things, and so that was something that I fought against in this show, where I understand that it's supposed to be calming, but I'm incapable of relaxation.
It has the opposite effect on you, arguably.
Yes, it did.
Yeah. I can relate. Don't worry.
And I have a wonderful life. Yes, so it has the opposite effect on me, and that is my initial impressions, I guess. I mean, I enjoyed it, but it's not my favorite thing, but I didn't expect to like love it or anything. So I came in with my expectations tempered.
Would you recommend it? Sorry.
Yeah. So what I would say is that like, you'll know if you'll like this show, right? Like if you're like a Yuru Camp Mushishi kind of guy, or gal, then yeah, like absolutely. I think that this does. I personally like this more than I liked Yuru Camp. So yeah, Pete's down thumbing me. I just thought like
I am
Mars
too.
was way cooler than Yuru Camp. The characters are better than the Yuru Camp characters. But also I have them at about the same rating. It's really just a minor notch above for me. But yeah, if you're a fan of this genre and you're looking to just like relax and you find things like this peaceful, then I would absolutely recommend it. If you are like Pat and I and things like this fill you with existential dread because nothing happens and people take 30 seconds to speak to each other, then yes, don't watch this. But I think it does a good job of what it's trying to be.
Did you watch sub or dub, out of curiosity?
I actually watched both.
Ah, there you go. The dub doesn't make it any better. I was gonna
I
say if
liked
you
the
watch
dub a
some.
lot, actually.
Well, I meant
But
the talking to each other.
oh
taking-
yeah. The pacing is
It's the speaking.
Well, we can talk
pace,
about my solution
that
to that
stuff
later. But
Yes. Oh yeah, mine too. Don't worry. Yeah. Hez, what about you? What do you think?
Now y'all know I'm a harsh critic of the shows we watch here, bro. Like I really hate y'all nominations, but when Aria
Yes.
skedaddled on the spleen, I was like, damn, that's some shit, boy. That's some old shit. It makes sense that the person who made it made Dear S because I had that connection to that era. And let me tell you something, if you're a fan of things like that, you're gonna love Aria. See, what I think Aria does beautifully that Yuru Camp doesn't, okay, is Arya has this very scenic, warming anime, but if you look in a little deeper, you can see some things out of way, and they kind of play into that mystery more and more, and they reveal more. So there's a little something for everybody. You know what I mean? I'm sure season 2 we're gonna learn about more. The first 3 episodes are great too. ED, absolute banger. One of my favorite EDs, bro. The OP, they got setting shots. It's not an animation with the music playing. It's real calm. Like the characters all got cool bits. The best part too, in the first 3 characters, you learn the greatest piece of information about the society in the entire series. Cats run shit. They're
Yeah.
presidents. I needed any more of a selling point. It's gone now. It's gone. So would I recommend this? Of course. Watch this. Watch this with your family, bro. And the dub ain't even that bad. I love the dub. That's all I gotta say.
Oh man. Okay. Yeah, the dub wasn't bad. I agree the dub wasn't bad. It was just like I thought it was about the same as the sub in terms of quality. Or maybe it's the writing more. But we can get to that later. Pete, what about you?
Yeah, it's been a hot minute since I've watched an 800 by 800 anime since this was made in 2005, and I was expecting it to be a little bit, man, I'm trying to think of the word for it. Really generic, I guess, in the style that it kind of looked like. It looked like a stereotypical early 2000s slice of life, and it kind of surprised me based off what like technical aspects that they added to that really made a difference. I love like the background, the sound design, the music was all like really great. And for somebody maybe not like Miles and Pat, I'm a huge slice of life guy, and this was checking every box for me. I was having a whole lot of fun in the beginning. I think how they kind of like twisted the story later, and we'll talk about that, really added more depth to the story. But in the beginning, it hooked me as like this slice of life on Mars type of scene that I've never seen before. And to me, I just had a fantastic time watching it in the beginning, and I wasn't dreading watching the next episode, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I would recommend it to anybody who's a fan of the slice of life genre.
Fair enough. All right, and then Rifle, what have you got?
Yeah, so I never heard anything about Arya in the past, and when this got 1 4 hour watching, I asked around, and a lot of people were like, "Oh yeah, that's like well known. It's the epitome." Okay, that was probably exaggerated, but it's pretty well known. Uh, this it came out in '05, but it kind of reminds me of like Yu Yu Hakusho, where it took me a while to adjust to the art of its time. Uh, when I first read it, I think if for me, I predicted what it would be, and I was right. It was going to be very story based, like episodic, exploring the world. I think what really hooked me though was the world aspect, since we're on futuristic Mars. So I pretty much enjoyed that part.
Nice. And lastly, would you recommend it?
Yes, I would recommend it for people who want to expand their boundaries or who enjoy this type of genre.
All right, there you go. And I guess my thoughts. I'll echo a couple of points people have said so far. It definitely looked very early 2000s. Like right off the bat, I was like, "Yep, this is like Code Geass era." 5 years given, give or take each direction, and you could definitely tell it felt pretty old at times too. I gotta say, like, and part of that is um the writing. It's just so slow. It really really was slow, but I think if I enjoyed the slice of life elements more, like I don't care about gondolas, I don't care about stuff like that really, as much as I do in laid back camp. I like camping, I like fishing, I like the nature and stuff, right? So I feel like I was able to tolerate it more in laid back camp, and I shouldn't say tolerate, but enjoy it more in laid back camp. Um, but I also think it's better. Laid back camp was better produced personally. Because it was more modern, maybe more fit for my millennial attention span or whatever you might want to say. I don't know. Make a joke about it. Yeah, I would recommend it to people like Pete, who have nothing better to do with their lives other than watch a bunch of anime and that slice of life.
What the fuck is that supposed to mean?
Yeah,
Fight
I'd
back.
recommend it to
Kidding.
losers like Pete.
Yeah. Okay, if you're new to the
That was a
podcast,
joke.
Pat is currently in his parents' basement, so yeah. While behind me, I have thousands of dollars of manga I bought. I'm not doing
Yeah,
nothing
dude,
with my life.
that's a good counter right there.
Oh,
That's
it's a
like,
huge
I
selling
haven't
point.
heard one.
I the thing says I'm adult, like thousands of dollars.
Yeah,
of manga.
Miles, go get married, bro.
Fight back.
Yeah. Okay. That is sorry. I guess that joke hit too close to home.
Hey, if you come at the king, you best not miss.
I don't think I missed. I think I hit a goddamn grand slam, but it's okay. We moving on.
Boo.
Yeah. Boo this man. Yes. I don't know. I would recommend it to Pete, and I would recommend it to people who like slice of life anime, and but also at the same time, I would say, have you seen Laid Back Camp first? Or I would say, have you seen, I don't know, Pete, name another slice of life anime.
Non Biori.
Have you seen Non Biori yet? Oh, I wouldn't recommend that one, but like, have you seen that one yet? Maybe I'd recommend that before this. I personally, I don't know. This Mushishi. There you go. That's the good one, right? Like it's a little just too slow for me. I was slogging through it by the end of it. The last few episodes were pretty good though, but especially the first three, it felt pretty slow to me. But yeah, all right. Now let's move on to the spoiler section of our reviews. So spoilers for Aria going forward. Yeah, who wants to start off our discussion?
So I guess I have a question for you guys. This was a thing, and I think this is a good transition from what Pat was just saying. Pat and everyone, if you were to say watch season 3 of Aria, right? Something that was made in like say 2016. I'm not saying you have to, but imagine that was like the first episode.
Thank God.
But you have to. By the way, season 3 of Aria won, and that's what we'll be watching.
Yay.
Yeah.
So for me, there was a lot of times where they would like pan to the scenery and stuff, and it was very pretty. But I imagine in 2005 it was like a lot more impressive than it came off to be for me now. Like I enjoyed it. It was but it felt like they were like setting up for these like 9, 10 out of 10 animation backdrops, and they were like 7, 8 for me, sort of. Did anyone else feel like that because of its age, maybe some of the visual aspects of this were less impressive than they probably would have been had we watched this in 2005? That's I guess my question.
Yeah, I think so. I think that for the time being, like kind of like what you said, that I don't know like what the technology was in order to do like the high end like background stuff or like the water animations that we see today. I just don't think that exists, and so I kind of like take it for what it is, and I don't think in any way that this show is like ugly, and I think they do a really good job at showing off like other elements of animation other than like say like a very polished background or water, like for instance like how like their hair moves in the wind while they're like riding the gondola. I thought that was like a really small little technical aspect that they did that was really well, and it's kind of like those things that I noticed in terms of like animation that really stuck out to me to make it seem like if I watched this in 2005, I would probably say that this was maybe like an animation of the year contender. I have no idea what aired in 2005, but I thought it was like really well for its time, for just based off like the anime I've seen in that time era.
Yeah, I feel like, personally, I think there's merit to, like, when you age anime, when we go back, there's always that nostalgic feeling, sort of that aesthetic that, surrounds older anime, and sometimes that helps. And I think in this case, for me at least, it helped it. It felt really aesthetic, because of the age and like the things that they were doing and stuff. I expect it would look a lot different in modern day. I would assume they would be aiming for a visual style that's less aesthetic. And more similar to like Violet Evergarden. But like, I think that's a part of its charm. For example, they do that thing pretty often, and I'm sure it's because of limited resources, where they do like lower like budget, like very simple animations. And it's pretty funny. Even though it's obviously just for like technical limitations or whatever, it's done very well. So I think like when they were creating those scenes where it pans out, it still works today. It's just it has more of a nostalgic feel rather than and nostalgia in like a warm healing way as the anime is trying to do, where instead of like this is technically beautiful.
Yeah. I wasn't too blown away by the animation either. Like I'm sure it did look good for its time, but um I don't know, it still did a lot to me at least. It did a lot of the old anime things. The things that when you watch vintage stuff you just notice in every single show too, pretty much. Like, as obviously there are worse offenders, but like, using the same B-roll footage when you load when they're like transitioning scenes, or the doing that slow screen pan for 30 seconds of a conversation and panning back up, or whatever, like just showing a background shot instead of showing people talking, like things that they did back in the day probably because they needed to, in order, because anime wasn't as well funded back then, or maybe it was harder for them to produce stuff because, or animate things because they had no computer help, let alone whatever they whatever they have now. I don't know, but it was very noticeable for me in this show, where there didn't feel like a lot had to be going on, but it also was very, very static. And I don't know how you guys felt about that, but that's the way it was to me, at least.
I think it had that like retro feel, especially
Mm.
being it filmed, or I guess how it was shown. At least I watched on Crunchyroll in the 800 by 800 resolution, where we had like these. I had like two black bars on my flat screen, and then the square box of the resolution. I knew what I was expecting. Like I knew it was going to be that style of animation, and I don't know if we want to like dive into like some like little technical things that they did to it as well, but I really do think I'm like looking on Mal right now and some of the '05 anime that I've seen, like Honey and Clover, Eureka 7, Eye Shield 21, some of these like that I've seen before in the past, where I feel like Aria did a better job in terms of like animating their show compared to these other ones. But that being said, it's that era. It's not, I don't know how many like old school, or I should say old school, well, maybe it is, I guess, for our age, but like how many 2005 anime like stick out? Like Kyoto Animation was making Full Metal Panic at this time and not making bangers like they are today. So it's like it shows like what that era was and the type of anime that was being produced, where I don't think a high budget was A, needed, or B, was even there for like their disposal.
Looking at through 2005, I think the only anime I've seen that's rated above an 8 on Mal is Mushishi.
Yeah.
Um, oh, and Eureka 7
Yeah.
is just over there. But like, that's sort of the. I guess that sort of speaks to what I'm getting at. Like, industries improve over time. I thought that Aria was very technically solid, but it wasn't technically special. And that I think that the reason I think that is because I'm watching it now and not in 2005, because the way that it was directed led me to believe that like they were showing stuff off, right? Kind of like how apparently back in like the 70s that the opening scene of A New Hope where the Star Destroyer just keeps going
Yeah.
was like the most amazing movie scene anyone had ever seen in their entire lives, you know?
Mhm.
Or like back in the 40s or the 30s or whatever, like when trains would come at screens, people would like faint. Like, you know?
Yeah.
So like I guess a less exaggerated version of that. So I guess the reason I'm saying that is because while I wasn't impressed by the animation, what I would suspect is if I were to watch Aria the sequel or Aria the Origination, that I would be impressed by the animation. I think that that's something that they probably focus on pretty heavily here, these set pieces and stuff. And like I thought they were pretty good for 2005, but I just wanted to see if other people did find them a little dated as well. Not bad, just dated.
I think to that point, and to I think Pat's point about things that older anime does. What I find is that maybe I'm not as um like affected by that, not just because I'm viewing it as like an aesthetic of the time or anything, but also because I feel like there was a lot of, and we'll talk about this I guess after this probably, right? Visual storytelling, I think, of like things in the scenes that draw interest to this story, um like, or at least what's going on in the background, right? And like that interested me. So even though it may not have been technically important, I felt like what they were showing off still drew my interest. Or technically special, sorry.
Yeah,
Like
no, I agree. I thought shot composition, like background shot composition, was like very
mm,
good. There's good use of framing and leading lines and just stuff to draw your attention. The scene where she's going through the bridge and like the cat eyes show up and they like turn around and stuff was very visually striking. Any of the scenes with the snow was really good.
Nice.
I am a sucker for snow though. Um, so that was like I agree. Like I think that level of it, of the art direction, was like very good. I thought the soundtrack was very good. I think that this is a very solid thing. I guess
could it be enhanced? Yes. By
that's what I'm
modern
saying. Like I think
technology,
that
it
like
could
if
be
if
enhanced.
someone remade Aria for the
Mhm.
first time in 2022, that it could be improved upon.
For
Um,
sure. Just like raw technical like spectacle for sure. I'm just saying that like I think despite the fact that it can be, I think that because it was so well directed and the fact that not only can it be a set piece but also a way of visually storytelling, that it doesn't really negatively affect it, that it's not as technically impressive because it doesn't feel unnecessary. It feels like they're still telling story with those
it's
shots
yeah,
that are set
no, I
pieces.
agree. It's a very solid foundation. There just isn't a ton built on it because
Yeah.
it's from so long ago, but it's better than shows that we're getting this season, even, I think, like as far as like technical direction and stuff goes. So
Yeah, I think the other thing that made it feel very aged for me though was beyond the animation would be the dialogue at times and the way that it just anime has never gotten to the point where it feels like humans talking to each other except for in good shows, you know what I mean? Like, but like in this one, the conversations would take forever, man, and it was to pad the runtime, right? It was to fill
I think
the
that's a genre thing
air.
because I noticed the same thing with pretty much every show in this genre. I feel like that. So
That may
like
be the case. More so in this genre than others, for sure. I would agree with that. But
I
I
think it's more
think
of a
this
feature than
one,
a bug.
a feature, yeah. That
Yeah. It's not a
oh
feature I enjoy, but I think
yeah.
it's a feature.
Well, it's a feature that made me have to watch this at 2 times speed because I was just getting so goddamn bored because like things were happening. Well, and they weren't really, but like some things were like trying to happen, but it would take them so long to get there that I was just like come on, I want to
Would
know.
do you think and this is not to like defend this show specifically, but like maybe it's just like a consequence of the genre, right? Like I think Miles said, like that this is something that's prevalent throughout the genre. But I think if you don't like something and then you see these long conversations and you're not invested, which is what the genre is kind of banking on, it's like, oh well, this is a fucking chore.
And I kind of want to bank off that because I think they do something where it kept me more engaged in the dialogue was and this is a very 2005 thing, was how they changed like the animations on their face. I don't know the particular style that's
Yes.
called, but to me, I thought that added to like how they were like feeling and reacting to this conversation, and it kept me significantly more engaged. And that's another one of those like retro anime things where we saw it a lot in 2005, and nowadays we see in like maybe like a chibi form we'll have something like that in like current day anime, but like that style of like facial expressions isn't really like prevalent as it was back then.
That was really fun. I agree with that. I liked that because it was a good way to show when the characters like, because normally they're these beautiful women who are like, rowing these, boats so gracefully and stuff, but they're still people. And so like when they were being petty or embarrassed or whatever, they would just switch them to these people with like little Pac-Man heads,
Yeah.
essentially. It's I thought that was fun. I always like that's one of the places where I think anime in general and specifically Aria like excels, and like a much more stylized version of that from this season would be like Spy Family with like Anya's facial expressions, right? Like how they can exaggerate that and stuff. But this is like in that same vein, a very enjoyable thing that I think made these characters feel more three-dimensional as they made them more two-dimensional.
No, absolutely.
Physically.
Speaking of like the dialogue, did anybody get sick of the Aras by any chance? I know I brought it up in the preview, but that's like all she says, and I was like, I bet some people get really turned off by this, but every time she said it, I'm not gonna lie, I put a smile on my face.
I love that. She's
So
precious.
I started off sick of it, and then over time I developed Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah,
You got used to it, right?
Yeah, and then I was just like, I now enjoy this. Like the first episode she shows up, and like I think she tones it down over time, which maybe made me enjoy it more. But there's like one time where she like literally says like ara 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 ara, and it's just like, and like I appreciated the like commitment to the bit, but
was that the her and Akira thing? Oh,
Yes,
dude,
yes,
that
yes,
scene was
yes, 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 yes.
hilarious.
Where that was, I mean, it was funny, but also like as Pat and I have alluded to, we have a little bit of a problem with the pacing, and so like when you get 8 words in a row and they're all the same word, it's just you're like a little like, oh my god, like let's talk about something.
Was that like the same thing with like the cat? Did you experience that? Because like I also thought that when you went like beyond the actual cat Aria, I thought I would get sick of that, and by the end of it, I mean, he was one of my favorite characters in the show. So did you?
So I love cats. What Watch Club has taught me is that episodes from the perspective of cats in anime are awful. I didn't like this one. It was my least favorite part of the show. Pat, cover your ears, but the Tadakun Never Falls in Love episode from the perspective of the cat is the worst episode of Tadakun Never Falls in Love.
Really? I thought you liked it, actually.
No, I don't think I did. God, I just found it so boring because like I like the cat, mind you. I liked Aria, and I liked the black cat the most, or maybe the panda that they pretended was a cat.
Ma.
Yeah.
Ma-kun.
But just like the one where he becomes a superhero and like goes and finds the doll. See, like, and I understand why you like it. Hans. I get it. Nothing happens in this show, and when they dial it back from like 10% of things are happening to 0% of things are happening, it gives me whiplash. It's just too drastic of a change.
Listen, man, just for the viewers at home, he's wilding right now because Aria's episode on Aria he's a superhero. I'm gonna be honest, bro. I watched the Batman 2 times. That episode is better than the Batman.
Woo,
Right?
spitting.
That's that shit. That's a better superhero flick. That's the best comic book adaptation.
I
we
guess it
getting.
doesn't have an unnecessary romance plot in it like the Batman.
Well,
Exactly. Well, he got curved, but it's a sacrifice you gotta take, as a hero, bro. Like, you can't be dipping and diving. You gotta be on the prowl. I don't know what our next conversation is, but I assume we should talk about time and traveling through it. at
Okay,
some
let,
point.
let's talk about the time travel. Because
Mm.
what I'm most curious about is if this is, and I kind of hope it isn't, but is it something that gets answered later on in this series about like why time behaves differently here and why Aqua is a place where through the power of gondola riding you can travel through space and time. I guess gondola riding you can always travel through space, but like also time.
I mean, I go forward in time.
Yeah. Okay. Never mind. Why is Aqua like everywhere else with gondola riding? That's a good point.
Nice.
Cool. But like that. It's got that like supernatural element to it, right? Where like occasionally like a spooky child from the past who is actually maybe a cat the entire time will like, get you a letter, or you'll just go back 50 years into the past. And then again they just like randomly were going through an alley, her sister and her, and it ended up in the past before the canals were filled. And like that's really interesting. You know what I mean? Like if this was like my favorite genre of anime, all of those scenes would have been in the first like 2 episodes, and then we'd start getting some answers. But instead they're 3 times throughout 12 episodes, and we might never get answers. But I don't know if we need answers. I think it might just be part of the charm of the world that they're in. Like it adds that mystique to this alien planet they're on. And it adds some gravitas to the job they have, which seems almost sacred in a way, the gondola riding, even though it's like a tourist trap. Yeah. So I guess like, what are people's thoughts on that? Like, if you were to say watch Aria season 2, would you want? You don't have to, Pat. Again, I'm not making you watch any more Aria.
You keep saying that you're going to, though. You keep saying, like, if I was going to. Like,
if we were to force Pat to sit down and watch every episode of Aria, because there's a lot of them.
There's quite a few.
It's 2 core from now on, buddy.
Too many.
And
damn, we can't nominate it for Watch Club. Shoot,
until
I have to
December.
find a new nomination. Yeah.
We could do 2 cores
December.
down the road. Don't worry.
But would you want, like, I'm assuming everyone would want this time stuff to be explored more in some context. But do you want answers to it, or do you like it being sort of like a woven into the background mystique of the world? Pete seems like he knows his answer. He's already thought of his answer. Pete, what do we got?
No, that's a great question. I'm more intrigued about the gnomes controlling gravity and the salamanders controlling like the temperature, because they always use the phrase for the salamanders that they're out there like fighting for Aqua. Like,
Yes.
What are they fighting to control the temperature? And that's what I wanted. That's like my biggest mystery, because Akatsuki always like comes back, but he doesn't look like war torn or anything like that. And he's like referred to as like a cool guy, and like salamanders have like these like high, I don't know, it seems like he's like a knight of some sort, I feel like, in this realm. But I want to know what the salamanders are fighting. There's so many questions I want answered.
Spoilers? It's Gundams.
Yo, okay. It could be a mech, because Aqua is currently going through, it's living in its second impact phase. Neon Genesis reference. So we know that in some way, in some aspect, humanity was on Aqua and then they're gone in some aspects. And I maybe me and Haskell, we have some conspiracy theories, but I think right now they're living in their second impact.
Okay.
Maybe we get to that later.
Yeah. Okay. I do have a follow-up question to the question that I've only had one person answer now, but we'll get to that after more people answer that.
In season 2, see, here's the thing, right? I think what I would love, because I like when anime does this, is you can explain it, but it doesn't all have to be explained. So, for example, like there are things that you should answer. I think, like, why is half of Neo Venetia in ruins if it's a new civilization on top of and nothing bad is, you know what I mean? Why is the hot springs a ruin essentially? Because you wouldn't just build fucking ruins; they're ruins. But things like time travel, right? Things that grand, you could say what initially caused it, but it's not something they have control over and like the details of, you know what I mean? Like maybe they were fucking with gravity and ever since they started fucking with it, it's just been something that's happening. And they may never figure out why or how to control it or how to fix it as long as they live. That's fine. But it's some acknowledgement that they know it's happening and that there is a reason, there's at least some speculation as to why it's happening. You know what I mean? So that's about as much answers as I need. But other than that, I think even if it didn't give me answers, I'd still be fine. I just love because it makes it feel real. There's a world with mysteries in it, and I may never know, but that's not why I clicked. I clicked on to watch gondolas. You know what I mean? Not to figure out the mystery of Neo Venetia. That's
Yeah,
just
but
a cool bonus.
God, you know what I want to do is figure
Figure
out
out.
the mysteries of Neo
I
Venetia.
mean, I feel you. I feel I'm right there with you on the
Um,
Gideon shit. Like, ooh.
rifle.
Yeah. So I I was perplexed by this single thing, and so I think I might have spoiled myself for the first episode to season 2. But it's kind of obvious. The answer to everything is cats.
Yeah, no, that
That
they do
Be-
hint towards that
because, like you
cats
said, the
the
time
time travel.
travel. Yeah, the time travel was that they link us to the past
the
and
past.
the future, and Arya was there. We also have that ghost cat that turns into a human for some reason. And we also know that the companies keep cats with aquamarine eyes for good luck.
As their presidents.
Yes.
It's
They're divine
So
beings.
what happens in next season? It's tied to the cats.
okay.
Actually, real quick, can I just say
Yeah,
something?
go ahead.
Retconning Malkun to have blue eyes was a cop out. He didn't have fucking blue eyes. Anyways, continue. They just decided at the end, yeah, he has blue eyes, bro. You could keep him. No, he
They're
didn't.
just tiny, you know. You can barely see them. They're just tiny.
Fuck up. I'm
The
sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're good. Yeah, the cats just being mutant just because they grew up on Aqua is pretty interesting. To answer Miles's question, I shockingly I want answers. I don't like well, I don't like open-ended things where it's like, all right, go fuck yourself, figure it out, or you choose. That's what I don't like. I don't like you choose kinds of answers. I like you can figure it out if you with the given context that we've given. So, um, I want answers to this, but I'm also not gonna find them myself. You know, like I'd rather just have someone tell me what happens. I think at this point, personally, but of course, that's
Can't believe Pat's gonna watch season 2 and 3
I
and all the
know.
Guys,
OVAs and the movie of
Yeah.
we're
Arya.
gonna
Yeah,
make it. This is now the
gosh,
Aria Watch Club. We're gonna go the whole fucking series.
Um,
yeah. I didn't hate this, by the way. I just
no. We know.
yeah.
I do think
It sounds
everyone's
like
like a
I hate it
little
though.
extra psyched about it, but
I think it sounds like I hated it, but I really didn't. There
no,
were
don't
parts
worry.
of it that frustrated me.
Dude,
Yeah,
if you give something a 7 in this watch club here, it means you hate it, right?
yeah,
Like
that's
Right.
true.
that's the rules.
That's the rule.
Uh,
I do want
Yeah,
to say something about the cat spirit though.
yeah.
I think that like ties in with this style of genre. What's it called? The hold on one second.
Yashike?
Yeah, the Iashi or whatever it's called. Because we have like there's a currently airing anime right now that deals with like a spirit that's a cat that can also turn into human. We had it with like helpful fox Senko-san, where like her companion was like a cat spirit. So I do think like that like the episode 2 with the cat spirit thing isn't just like a random ass pull. I think it has something to do with like that genre where like cats are these spirits that like even in after death or something like that can take on like human form. So that's kind of like my observance from like this style of genre and like the emphasis of like what the cats can do in the storyline.
So I guess like a thing that I really liked about Aria was the world building. We've sort of talked about this a little bit, but it's very. I apologize to everyone who has to listen to me talk about this because it's a dumb comparison, but I think it fits. It's
No,
very
this is good.
Souls-like, like like the Dark Souls franchise, the way that
Aria's
Aria the Animation does
the
its
Elden
world
Lord.
building.
1A,
She's the
1B.
true-
Yeah.
She's the true Elden Lord.
Yeah, but by that I mean like they really don't, other than the gondola companies, drop a large amount of exposition. They just sort of have conversations with each other, and you like learn things about them and like the world, and you see like Haz was talking about like the ruins and like all of these other things. Like there are hints about this world and its history that are given sort of like in a tertiary method, right? They're not like told directly to us. We know the salamanders are doing something to keep the climate of the world stable, but like, we don't know what or how or why, that sort of thing. Like, I thought that was really interesting. I also think so. I guess the main question is, did you guys like the way that the show did its world building through a sort of show don't tell kind of way, and in a very sort of, the world building is outside of the main plot for the most part, right? Like you just get a world built around these girls doing gondola stuff. Second, and this is a little bonus question, but this world is like vaguely sinister. It's not very sinister, but it's vaguely sinister. Would you like a show like Aria that has the same tone as Aria, but in the background, the world is very clearly more dystopic or like post-apocalyptic or something like that? And like, I guess part of the gag was that this, peaceful thing was happening in this sort of like kind of world, because Aria does have like a teeny bit of like sinisterness to it. I felt, at least. It's mostly not, but you went to that place where like the houses that used to be there were flooded and stuff. Like there's stuff there, and I just thought that was like an interesting take, and I thought that something that turned that up a little bit might be interesting. Hastic, what are your thoughts?
Well, uh, I I really liked it. I thought it was super cool. I think there are just like shots in this show that are really good. I just explaining the way things are. I think even like to your point about like there's a slightly sinister tone. I think there are some speeches in slice of life. There's always like a very sort of like, sometimes a speech will be cutesy or like happy and everything, but I think there's a few examples of the main girl, I'm forgetting her name,
Akari.
where Akari, where Akari speaks and she does like a slice of life, like, it's a beautiful day thing, but you can see there's like an undertone of like sadness or like some acknowledgement that something bad happened in the past. And I think of the scene of the three of them rowing through the flooded house, and it looks really like it's a pretty dark shot out of context. But yeah, I really loved it, and it helped keep me intrigued in a story that is outside of the genre I generally like. I think it's really what kept me interested in it, and it helped the place feel real, because I'm learning about this place, and there are things going on that I may not know about, but it made it feel more real. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree. That's what it makes Aqua. So like, a complaint I had at first was that Aqua felt like it was just propelled by the gondola riding economy. Like that was like the only industry that like existed there. But as the show went on, I learned that we were just focused on that, and that Aqua was like an alive world that we could like learn things about. Pat, do you have any thoughts on this?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay, Pete.
None of mine.
I kind of want to dive into this when we unless we want to do it now with the conspiracy theories that we have. I know me and Haz are itching for it.
I just thought of one right now as you were talking about
Oh, let's
the
go.
visual storytelling.
Sounds like we
Rifle,
need to
do you
get
have any
started.
thoughts before we
Yeah.
we dive into the conspiracy theories?
Yeah, I just want just the whole world building is what really kept me intrigued. I just like their whole bits of their naming of certain jobs. You have the Undines, the Salamanders, gnomes, and I think what was it? That guy on his flying bike, Stilfs, I think he was called. Uh, Another thing that was interesting was
Sylph, yeah.
imagining waking up and finding your living room just flooded. I'm just like, well, that's probably not good. I mean, luckily you have a 2-story house. But yeah, so world building, it really kept me entertained by this show.
Yeah, awesome. I agree. I think it was very good. Okay, Pete, you wanted to start on conspiracy
Let's go.
theories
Let's
in
go.
Aria the Animation.
I've been
Let's
waiting for
go.
this. Me and Haz have been waiting for this.
We've been plotting. We're in the background.
And I think there's a couple. And so the first thing is that I believe that currently this is post first impact. So this is pre second impact, which I believe is oncoming. We know that in episode 3 and 4 that people died because they were unable to control the water. With that guy's husband when he went to that one island. That's why there's all those graves. We see it in episode, I believe it's 11 or 12, where she crosses the bridge and their village is having troubles like with controlling the water, and how there's like no snow there, but when she crossed over the bridge that there was snow, so like water is like the main focal point. So I'm thinking that like the world essentially drowned, and I think that like the city that they're living in now was like barren, or it was like flat land, and because of the rising water, that's why we have like the gondolas and stuff. And so like I'm thinking like Aqua's like actually like super dark. Like a lot of these people have been killed because of the water and them trying to control it. And with the gnomes now controlling gravity, that's why we're having like these time space continuums where like things are like crossing between each other, because that's like what we believe in science fiction and stuff like that. That might be real, I don't know. But
basically completely correct. Don't worry.
Yeah. For the context, I'm spot on. But that's kind of like what I'm thinking is like that's kind of like the world that they're living in, and there's like this big conspiracy hiding the first impact, and why like nobody talks about all these dead people, or why nobody knows about these towns or these people with like, because do they ever like show like people with like a camera or a camcorder prior to episode 11 or 12? I have some questions about why she had like a hard time with the pictures and the camcorder, and like every time you see these people are on gondolas, nobody's taking pictures. I don't know, there's a lot. Haz, you can jump in whatever you want, but I think there's like a bigger conspiracy going on.
Yeah. So I'm basically in agreement, and there are just some things that I thought of that kind of help build this. One, I think that the flood, I thought so too at first, but there is an interesting detail in that not all of it flooded. So when they travel back in time, they make a very good point of drawing the background with mountains. Like it's kind of weird because there are no other mountains really on Arya outside of like very far away from very far from where they're at. But there's like mountains and stuff. So I think part of it flooded because also in episode 13 you get the second time you're looking into the past where the kid who delivered the letter was from. And they're on the same level. So like wherever Arya and Neo Venetia is at, that town was built at a level above wherever it flooded. And that's why it's, you know what I mean? I also think it makes sense as to why gondola business is so revered. If I were to watch more on, I imagine there would be a scene that sort of parallels the gondola scene through the ruins, except with the people when the flood happened, right? And it's sort of like it's the way that they saved, which is why they're so revered, and you know the people on the gondolas helped when they were. It's like Noah's Ark or some shit. I don't know, but that's what I think. I think you know obviously the gravity is fucking with time. I don't think I'm not sure if they realize it.
So, So I don't think the gravity is the thing that's fucking with time.
Okay.
The reason I don't think that the gravity is the thing fucking with time is just because Mars is like 1/10 the mass of Earth, right? I think it's like half the size and 1/10 the mass. So they added who knows how much water. Let's say it brings it up to half the mass as well, right? That gravity is to give Aqua. It's like, you notice how people don't like jump like they're on the fucking moon, basically. Like, you know, like that's to to simulate Manholm, as they call it in universe, right? And like that difference in gravity isn't enough to fuck with time in such a way that basically, if they were turning up the gravity enough that it was fucking with time to cause any amount of substantial like time travel or like going to the past or something, reality itself would break.
May I counter?
Yeah, of course.
All right. My counter to that
It's an anime.
is anime.
There you go.
Yep.
I was gonna say
I guess like my counter to that is that that does seem to be relatively science focused with making the terraforming. The fact that they thought about
the logistics
the gravity,
of how this,
right? Like they thought about having to create artificial gravity on Mars for people to live on it comfortably is shows to me that like some actual thought went into that, right? And like you can see the two moons in the sky sometimes. Like they definitely
wanted to be the way I would say it is like they wanted it to loosely be based in like scientific reality of today, right? Where it's like obviously it's not, we could never do this to Mars today, right? It would not be possible.
But it's similar to something that we in theory could do and would try to do once the technology is there.
Right.
My anime counter to your idea is that in the anime they say fucking cats do it. Right?
Yeah, so I was gonna say there was a big thing. I was trying to logic it out, but there's always the answer of supernatural human fucking cats. So like that's not it's not the most satisfactory because there's only so much theory crafting I could do around that, but it is magical space cats, which the only theory I have around that is that Aria is about how Akari or whatever whatever her name is. Akari becomes a space cat, and that's why she can do this time travel shit.
Ooh, you're spitting.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Why can she do it?
Because Aria is like a super intelligent cat. He understands conversations well, responds to conversations with his own whatever he does.
Yeah.
What if they're not actually there to train to be gondolas? Maybe that's just the first step in becoming space cats. Yo!
And that would bro. This watch club in a banger.
This show is genius.
That's what I like to fucking see. Yo, if y'all not subscribed already, you better subscribe, like the video, comment your theories about what's going on this planet.
Aria's got to be like, you know how you do like a, what's it called? Like A equals 1, R equals something like that. You like add up the letters and it somehow equals space cat. Like that's what we're getting to. That's the level we're getting to with Aria.
Miles, I need that equation.
Yo, figure out the enigma of Aria. We need.
How we get Akari to space cat?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me
how you make this anime interesting enough to watch. There you go. You come up with your own conspiracy theories about it. I like it though.
It presents itself in the story. It's there. It's just it's hiding in plain sight.
You just gotta figure.
You just gotta go out and look for it. It's the duty of us as the viewers.
It's the victim's fault. It's the victim's.
That's not what I'm saying at all, Pat. That's way out of context.
What Miles said is not our actual views.
I'm sorry. That's bad.
We're talking space cats right now. I don't know what the fuck you're on, but We are talking about First Impact Space Cats, the anime.
See, I think the
Yeah.
reason why people don't talk about why the city's flooded and why there's a bunch of dead, or why a bunch of people died, is because it really sucks to talk about how many dead people there are, and it's taboo to talk about death.
Or the
I feel
government.
like, yeah,
Ooh,
maybe.
Dystopia? You
Yo.
can't talk about death now? They silencing the public?
Yeah,
This is
dude.
crazy. This is that
It's like a fake illusion. Like the Arya Aqua puts on a mask like it's like this peaceful place, but it's not. It's a
Miles over
it's a
here
tyrannically ruled planet. They terraformed it for diamonds. They found space cats, and now this is where we're at.
Yo, bro, I'm not gonna lie. What a fucking gas pack thing. I don't know where we were at in sort of every like criticisms, but like classic. This is just classic. This is the mind game.
I hope somebody turns on this episode, fast forwards to our conspiracy theory thing, and then just wonders what the fuck we're talking about. But it all makes sense in the context of the show.
You
The
gotta
world
watch it.
flooded, and then we got
Hey.
space cats.
Hey man, if you in for the long haul, the last movie came out last December. So
Do
you
you-
should go watch this.
Do you think that episode where they go for training at Grandma and Arya is looking up at the stars with the cast, that's like symbolism for space cats? Gentlemen, your thoughts.
Bro.
Yes.
Hey man.
I can't argue
Nah.
this logic anymore because I can't even follow it. So how do you start to argue it?
Nah, Pete, you know what else is interesting? I thought specifically about the grandma episode.
Yep.
I feel like where grandma is at is fucking foreign to the rest of Aqua as we see it. Like she's on like some range, some plains or whatever. It's not, we don't see water, any body of water near where she's at. Like she's on like a big ass continent or some shit. And I thought it was really interesting that she lives out there, but it also still seems pretty empty.
I feel like it's like
Yeah.
Italy, right? Because like Venice is underwater, and then but Italy has like the roaming mountains and stuff like that. So that's kind of like what I was thinking. But
Oh.
also there was times and thoughts where I didn't actually think Grandma was real. So add that to another list of the conspiracy theories.
Yo, perfect Aria, the Makoto Shinkai.
Yes,
Go crazy.
yes, this is a prequel to Weathering with You. I said it.
Yo, I don't. This is the greatest.
Wouldn't this be
podcast of
after
all time.
Weathering with You?
Maybe, I don't know. I'm just talking out my ass right now.
It's actually running. It's actually on the other side of the Bubbles universe. It's happening
Yeah.
at the same time. See, they running races in gondolas while they running parkour races in Bubbles. If you haven't watched
Ooh.
Bubbles review, you should go watch that.
Yo, sick plug.
You know me, man.
That's all I got for
Okay.
conspiracy theories, though.
So I have done the math.
All right. Oh shit, we got it.
Okay.
Boys, the equation.
I love scientists, man. They're the
There,
coolest.
there's a few things that we need to think about here. Okay.
All right,
First
cool.
off, when you do the cipher for just Aria, it's only 29. So we're not getting anything for that. But
Okay.
he has a last name, right? Poco
All right.
Time.
Yep.
So
Okay.
then you get 125.
Ooh,
Well, then I
that's
did
a big
Space
jump.
Cat, and that was only like 68. But then I realized space is interwoven with time. So I did Space Time Cat. And then I got not quite enough. But then I realized there's more than one cat.
Yes.
So then I did Space Time Cats.
Ooh.
And I got 134. So the big mystery, the missing link to this is what is Aria Pokotang's middle name? If it starts with an I, it all makes sense.
What if you switch cats with Neko?
Because it's Japanese.
Yes. Yes.
Yo, we're going crazy today. You should.
I will be right back.
I'm
Let
just
me-
saying there's a missing link somewhere. Maybe it's not space, but what if it's like galaxy cats or
It's-
something like that?
It's a missing
you ain't
link in your
watch-
brain somewhere because you guys are taking.
If you ain't watching Ario right now,
Wait, okay,
What's up
Neko
with you?
and Cats gives us the same value?
Whoa!
Look at
oh
that.
My God.
The government
No, it's
is
off by 2.
suppressing
Sorry,
us.
it's an increase of 2. So what is the 11th letter of the alphabet? K.
Yeah.
So if his middle name is Kit. But wait, how do you pluralize in Japanese?
Nekos?
Yeah, but that's not right, is it?
I don't know. What's the
Last one
what,
out of that bitch.
we're missing the real question. What's the kanji of cat and what's the kanji of cats? I think we're doing this wrong.
All right,
What number kanji? Or what if it's in like the Japanese? Ooh, we gotta dig deeper, boys.
Yo,
Do
bro,
they
I'm
have
not
their?
gonna
Have
lie.
we seen written language in Aria?
I need to go
Do we know?
I need to go get some tinfoil and put it on my hat because we're about to break something, and I know the government's gonna be kicking down my door, and not for the reason you think it is, and then arresting me because I know too much.
Okay, so
The government is tampering with my internet right now. Oh, guys, could you hear me? Okay, this is great. This is high quality content.
I'm not gonna lie. For everybody listening,
We need an editor.
Yo,
this is my
favorite.
Someone apply to be an editor for us because holy
Don't do
moly.
it.
This is
We
a
need to
top 3
edit-
segment.
we need to edit this to the front of the podcast.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, the math isn't quite adding up. But wait a minute. No, continue again. Sorry, I have to do more math. You guys come up with something. Try to make it real, but you don't have to.
Well, the story makes it real already. It's just
Yeah,
we have to find. It's like a treasure map, but like part of it got damaged, and we need to figure out how to fix the map so we can find the treasure because it got impacted during the first impact because the world got flooded over and like some of the things are missing. It's like trying to find a fossil. We're archaeologists, boys.
Yo, bro, what are we talking about? I don't know what the fuck is going on anymore.
This
We're
is
talking about maps and treasure maps. We're talking about Golden Kamui, another Watch Club show. You know how.
So best character.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, maybe that's time for that.
Yeah.
oh, we can do
Miles
like our
is still
final
doing
thoughts and then
math.
get back to Miles's
Yeah, I'll go
his
last.
math. All right, cool.
Yeah, that'll
Okay,
be
there we go.
final.
Yeah, let's. Yeah, thank God. Oh my
Hell
goodness.
yeah,
Let's
that
go
was
into
great.
Final thoughts. Okay, Haz, why don't we start with you since we're not starting with Miles? And your
Well, boys.
score, please, too.
You already know. Let me tell you something, man. Me and Slice of Life, not the biggest fans of each other. But me and Aria, we great fans of each other. I've listened to all of his fucking CDs. I watch all of his TV shows, read his comic. He's a gangster boy, bro. And his superheroing days will go on forever in the hearts of those that he has touched. And I'm one of those. I'm one of those consoles. So that's why I'm going to give this shit a 9.
Yes,
All right?
sir.
It's a 9. It's gas pack. It's all that. If you looking for some old feel good anime, but you want to be a little intrigued, bro, like what's going on here and there, Aria's for you, bro. Aria's for you. And the ED slaps, like I already said, it slaps. Goes crazy.
Slaps, baby. Yes. There we go. Audio listeners are confused, but yeah, I just slapped myself in the face. I'm awake again, though, so it's good. All right, Pete, what about you?
Final thoughts. There's one thing that I really enjoyed that they did. It was a little touch where regardless of the weather in anime, girls always just wear skirts. Like it could be like -5 in a blizzard and they'll still be wearing skirts. In this show, when it became winter, they wore leggings underneath their dress. They added that when it got cold. I thought that was so cool. That being said, I really like the OP, how it like went with the. It wasn't like a traditional anime OP where like it would play like the animations and stuff like that. It would like transition into the episode. I thought that was like a really neat little touch that didn't have like a dedicated OP. And like what Has said, the ED bop, so good. I had a fantastic time watching Aria. I enjoyed like the conversations that we had with like ranging anywhere from like traditional slice of life to me and Haz's conspiracy theory. I love that about Aria. I had a great time. I will be continuing watching Aria when we get like a weaker season. I would, if you're like a slice of life fan, this show is right up your alley. I'm giving it a 9. I loved it.
9. Wow, that's 2 9s right off the bat. Rifle, what have you got? Why don't you bring us down to earth a little bit more here? I assume, actually. Maybe I shouldn't assume.
If one feels it is fun now, one will be able to enjoy life the most. Everything will change over time, so we must treasure the happy moments before us. Akari Mizunashi. This show really was very enjoyable, especially the ending when I got to watch it with my boy Haz over here. and we had fun theorizing everything. And I found that by enjoying this, I was able to appreciate the show more. I enjoyed the scenic views of the opening stuff, and the songs were such a banger. I may not have enjoyed it as much as Peter has, but it will go down as an 8 out of 10 for me.
Let's go, Rifle!
Hey, don't invite Rifle to the next episode of Watch Club. Writing that down now. I'm kidding. Miles, what do you think? Oh, well, first
So-
reveal your math, please. Let's pull it all together here.
If you have space-time cats, which gives you a numerical value of 134. And then if you add 1 for the letter A at the beginning of space-time cats. Now you might be thinking that's weird, but everyone's name starts with A in this show. You get the exact numerical value of Akiri Mizunashi of 135.
Let's go.
Proving our theory that Akiri Mizunashi will become a space-time cat
I knew it!
Are
by
you
season
kidding
3
me? Are you shitting me?
of
Yo,
this show.
We're the best.
we just mathed out a
We did
show.
it.
What anime podcast you know is doing that?
So,
Get out of here, bro.
I spent a lot of time doing that. I've had a lot of fun talking about this show. Not even just our bullshit stuff, just like talking about it has been fun. I had more fun talking about the show than I had watching the show.
Yeah.
I will say, last 3 episodes or so, I thought were like pretty big bangers for me. Those were like definitely in that like 8 out of 10 range for me, but like the first ones ranged from 5 to 7 depending on the episode. I will say, part of that is just me being an extremely anxious human being and being unable to relax. It is a flaw with me, not a flaw with this show. I suspect that if I were to watch future seasons of the show with the increased animation, I would like them more. I liked the characters quite a bit. I guess we're not doing like Best Girl, even though this is like a wonderful show for it. Akira is probably like my pick. But overall, I'm gonna say the show is like a 7 out of 10, but one that is trending as it goes on. I this is a show that I felt better at the end of it than I did at the beginning of it, which is where I think you want to be if you're like a 7 out of 10. Because you want to impress me. That's the most important thing when making a show. It's really important that I feel good about your show at the end of it. Yeah. But I enjoyed Aria. It was a little dull at times, but I thought it had great world building. I thought it had fun characters. And the pacing was exactly what they intended the pacing to be, like Gandalf and arriving on time, but alas, that wasn't the pacing for me. So 7 out of 10, but I am hopeful to watch season 2. I might, once Haz and Pete blow through the discography of it, ask if like I'm not up for a season 2, can I like squeak in like a 3 episode OVA? Like, do I need the plot, or can I just enjoy 3 episodes of this if I'm, in the mood for something like this without having to commit to 24 episodes of Aria for season 2? Because this is something that I think I would enjoy much more if it was like 3 episodes compared to 12 or 24 or something like that, just because of my ability to take the pacing. There's another one of these types of shows that, while doing research on Aria, I found that I want to watch, which is like a shopping trip to Tokahara or something about an android who goes shopping with her android friends post-apocalypse thing. Thought it was neat. Anyways, those are my long and drawn out thoughts on Aria the Animation. I'm sorry for the ramblingness, but I was just doing a lot of math, so
You're good.
super focused. Pat, take us home.
Yeah. Again, I'm gonna echo a lot of what Miles said. I think the big thing for me was the pacing. It was just a little bit too slow, and I wasn't as invested in the characters as I was with Laid Back Camp, or what they were doing as I was with Laid Back Camp, where I could really just latch on to the camping or the eating the good food or whatever. much more so than I could what was happening in the show. I do agree that it got stronger by the end. The last few episodes were pretty interesting, or more interesting, but I still watched them at 2 times speed because again, it was just so. It was just. It's weird because like I can relax, but at the same time, I don't like to. I don't like to relax. I like to be making use of my time and just going, constantly doing something. So maybe that's why I struggled with the show in a similar way to Miles did. So for me, I think I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10. Especially, I think it gets a. If this was made today and it looked the way it looks, or was paced the way it was, I think I would probably give it lower. But I think given the time that it came out, it was pretty good and better than a lot of other things that came out in 2005. So I think 7 out of 10 is pretty fair for it. But yeah, so that averages our scores out to a very simple mathematical thing of 8.00, since we had 2 9s, 2 7s, and an 8. So yeah, that's pretty online with Mal. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty
It's
sure
a
Mal
little
is
higher.
a little bit higher, right? It's Mal's a what, 7.68, so 7.7. So and I feel like if we had a couple of our other crew members, like we normally do, we might have brought the score down a little bit further as well. I think we had the perfect audience for this show, this episode. But yeah, that wraps up our discussion on Aria the Animation. So Miles, what are we watching on May 16th, or discussing on May 16th?
Yes. So there comes a time in every podcast life where it needs to make the big decisions, the bold decisions. And we have made the decision as a podcast to watch a movie that is a retelling of an anime series from, sorry, Pete, from like, I don't even, anyways, we're going to be watching the Razafon movie.
Woo!
Let's go, baby. Let's
I love how Pete raises his hands and then
Shows that have scored legacy points include Classroom of the Elite, earning its 4th legacy point.
That's a lot.
Yes. Flip Flappers, earning its 1st legacy point. But I'm not going to nominate it again because I'm just going to watch it. And The Dirty Pair are earning its 1st legacy point. So we will be watching the Razafon movie streaming on High Dive.
So excited.
I'm curious because I was reading the Mal description and it was unclear if you needed to watch the series for this to make sense. And that is, I'm excited for it. It is a alternative version of a movie, and I'm not sure, or of a show, and I don't know if it's like you need to understand these references and we're just going to be fucking confused, or it's just a genuine retelling. I think this is either going to be Blood Blockade Battlefront or Handshakers. I think that's the range we have here for this particular thing.
So it's a win-win, baby.
Yeah, I gave Handshakers 6.
Can't be that bad. I think it's going to be Elfin Lied all over again. That's what I'm expecting.
Something that I rated lower than Handshakers. Okay. I don't know what that says about me. Let's hear everybody's nominations for this week. I think this is normally Pat's job, but I apologize. I'm stealing it.
No,
Pat,
you're good.
What are you nominating this week?
That's a great question. Why don't you start? I'm stealing your role of not having a nomination. So
great.
You start.
I will be nominating the 2013 Kyoto Animation anime Beyond the Boundary. So that's what I'm going to be putting up. Pat, what was I'm just kidding. What do you got for us? Rosario Vampire Season 2?
Well, you know me, man. You didn't even let me get my speech off. Fuck you, but yeah,
Okay, I'm just excited.
I'm an entertainer, bro. I'm an entertainer, and I know what the people want. They want more Rosario Vampire.
It does have three. It does have 3 legacy points, and I did vote for it first this week.
Yes,
so.
sir. Yes, sir. Because they love it, and I'm here for people.
Pete, what do we got?
Yeah, I'm a re-up Johnny's nomination since I need to watch this show before season 2 comes out, so I'm nominating Classroom of the Elite.
Ooh, let's see if it can come in second for like a 5th consecutive week.
I'm voting for it. All right.
So
You know,
stupid.
you didn't like? Did you watch this actually? Have you watched it before?
Classroom of the Elite?
Yeah.
No, I would never watch an anime called Classroom of the Elite voluntarily. Fire. What?
You would fit into this classroom.
Miles is upset because
thank
he didn't
you.
get invited to the classroom.
I was gonna say he's scared.
I was invited to the classroom of the frickin' proletariat. Fire. What do we got?
Yeah, so I'm just gonna nominate this Mappa's Spring 2015 show, Punchline.
Punchline.
Oh,
You nominated that before.
I think someone has at least. I don't know. Yeah, was it Rifle? Who did?
Punchline the show.
I
Is there
like
not a
the
movie?
character design.
Do you like the etchy
Punchline?
tag?
Yep, I was just gonna make a comment on that. Don't,
Oh, never mind. I'm thinking of Redline. I'm bugging.
dude. Redline would be sick.
Pat, nominate Redline.
No. I found something to nominate. No worries. Yeah, no. So I'm gonna
Emily told
nominate.
me to nominate Redline, and I completely forgot. Next time, I promise.
I'm gonna nominate a top 50 show all time according to Mal. 86 Part 1.
Ooh,
I'm ready.
okay.
I'm not gonna lie. That setup was godly. You got it.
I'm ready. I'm ready to fight. I'm ready to fight the good fight for.
Okay, yeah, no,
for
you
the
know what? I'm
Republic of
gonna
Magnolia.
throw 86 some points.
Hold on,
because
86 part 2 is in the top 50.
I know.
86
Sorry.
part 1 is
Well,
287.
Okay, sorry. That was
a
yeah.
top
so that was
300.
first part, top 50, second part. You know, pretty good. Yeah, I think the first part's pretty freaking good too, though. So I know, right? I know I just won some of Rifle's
Did you
vote.
did you promise Jay you'd dominate Fully Cooley?
No, I said no. I'm sorry. I think I said no because I'm sorry, but I would not want to watch Fooly Cooley. So
Okay, you know what? I'm gonna represent the J Factor, and I'm gonna switch my nomination to Fully Cooley.
All right.
But you wouldn't switch it. You wouldn't switch it to Redline. That's crazy.
Wow. Wow. Double shots at
That's fucking crazy.
double shot at Mako in one episode.
Yeah, well, you know, Jay typed in the Discord that he wanted Fully Cooley nominated.
Damn, 3
so-
shots at Mako. Incredible. I love
Not
it.
like this.
Okay, we got this.
yeah, so those are our nominations. Miles will post them in the Anime Club. If you guys want to vote, please vote in our comments or join our Discord. Message Miles on Discord. Message me. I don't know. DM us on Twitter or something. Find a way to vote if you're an audio listener out there, because apparently we've had a good couple weeks in a row. So we appreciate you silent majority out there that don't talk to us, and thank you for listening. Pete, go ahead.
Yes, and if you've made this far in the podcast and you want to support us, the best way to do so is like, comment, subscribe, leave a review on whatever platform you are listening to us or watching us on. We have YouTube for visual content. Next week, bringing back our most popular segment, we got Anime Jeopardy 7, baby. So looking forward to that on Monday. Otherwise, if you're joining us for Watch Club, you will see us in 2 weeks. We will be watching the movie Razafon. Thanks, and we'll see you next time.